Read 180 has been changing lives for over 20 years, but how can we make sure it's working for your students? Let's head over to Ed and take a look at reporting. To access your reports, we'll start by heading to the Reports tab. On the left-hand side, I will see the 4 different options that I have to look at data. The assessment report is where I will find those foundational skills benchmarks that accompany the code books, the interim and end of workshop assessment that I'll have with the workshop books, as well as the online assessments available with Language Launch. As I scroll down, I will see my data donut that will reflect the number of students and how they are performing as far as proficiency overall. All of those parts of the data donut are clickable so that I can see who are my students who are working above level currently. And then on the right-hand side, I will see the assessments that have been given in this particular class, just like I will see them below in more of a gradebook format. If I'm curious about an individual assessment, I can click on either the See Report link or click on that assessment in the graph. Here you can see that the data has shifted to reflect just this particular assessment. Ed will pull out for me the 4 most frequently missed items on this assessment, and when I click, I can see exactly what that item looked like. As I scroll down, here I can see individual student scores, individual test question results, as well as how much time students spent on this particular assessment. The next report is my standards report. You will find that all of our test questions have been aligned to state standards in the US, but this will give you some idea around proficiency bands and how our students are performing overall. So for example, this standards report will break it down into reading and language strands. When I click on See Performance by Standard, I will see the different concepts that make up this strand at this particular grade level. I can see my class average, as well as individual student results. The next report is the growth report. The growth report is the report that is used to determine placement. So here I can see in those 5 proficiency bands how my students are performing. I can scroll down and see again those reading comprehension and language strands and the breakdown for my students. And then below, I will see the individual results from the growth measure. I will see how much time they took on that assessment, what their HMH scaled score is, and you'll see to the right of that how that is connected to their grade level performance. So Herlinda is an 8th grade student at the 99th percentile, so she is working above grade level. As I continue across, this is a beginning of the year assessment, but this will also track change between the beginning, middle, and end of year assessments. Show me the grade level equivalency of what she's working at. So she is obviously working, above grade level as an 8th grade student. And then that current Lexile band or interval. So you can see as I continue to scroll down that each student has their own proficiency indicators. I can also use these filters to look at this information in a different way. So now all of those students who are going to be eligible for Read 180 have flowed to the top. And these students who are at that approaching below and far below are probably those students who are sitting in a Read 180 class or would be eligible to be in a Read 180 class. I'll find a version of this same data when I go to the program activity report. This is an early stage of our program activity report. You can expect even more data flowing into this throughout the course of this 2023-2024 school year. But what I will see is that I have basically two components that make up this program activity report. I can see what's happening within the independent reading rotation, as well as that student application. So we'll start with the student application. Currently, you can see that I'm looking at this for my entire class, but note that you can break that down for individual students as well. In my class overview, I'm able to track the last 30 days, or select my own time period if I need this for grading purposes, compared to the whole school year. In my class, we've only been working within Read 180 for a few months, so I don't have school year to date data quite yet. But I can see that overall, 88% of my students are on track. 4 segments have been completed over 11 sessions, and I've got an average of 2.5 weekly sessions that are at about an average of 12 minutes apiece. We use this data to set approachable benchmarks or goals for our students. We want our students to be completing 2 to 3 sessions in the student software a week, but we're really looking for that average session duration to be closer to 16 to 20 minutes. So easy ways to set goals with our students that create meaningful data and also create change. I'll also be able to see, as I scroll down, again, more of that individual performance data. I can see in my current focus tab what each one of my students' current segment is that they're working on. If it is labeled with a level number, that lets me know they're working on that workshop comprehension pathway. FS will let me know that they are working on that code or foundational skills pathway. So Lisa Marie is currently working on that digraph SH. On the usage tab, I'll be able to see again class totals across the top, as well as how my students are working individually. Performance is again where we're going to see the most growth in the data that's available over the next 6 to 12 months. But here I'm able to see that they're on track, and as I use my directional arrows to the right, how they're doing on things like spelling or word automaticity. This will be broken down further in the months to come. The Mindset Scan is an assessment unique to Read 180 and Math 180 that is a beginning of the year option just to let me see how my students think about themselves as readers as we gauge their penchant toward a growth mindset. And then again, I will see that growth measure data here so that I have all of that data in this one report. And again, I'm looking at this from that all student perspective, but if I want to come in and see how Yale is performing, I'm going to see even more granular data. To find how my students are doing on independent reading, I'm going to click on that component filter and switch to independent reading. Here, you'll see that this class overview has changed. So the books read is going to be tallied after students have completed their quizzes, and you can see they'll earn points as they go. This again is an all student perspective, but another great way to set goals with my students as well as a class goal. From here, I'll be able to see, what books are my students reading, how many points are they earning on those quizzes, overall performance. And then again, if I come in here to a specific student, I'm able to run a report that's just for this particular student. And you will find the print report button at the top if you want to provide paper versions of what we're seeing here on the screen. Again, as far as data is concerned, even more to come as we look at how we can track your student growth towards success.